What's up, guys?
What up, guys?
What's up, guys? So, Beauty and the Beast,
Kong Skull Island,
Logan,
Episode 8, Last Jedi
The
teaser
best
trailer.
love letters to Hollywood that we've
This
ever
film
seen.
is a masterpiece. So, until the next time, goodbye. Skyscraper is directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber, and it's the latest film starring The Rock. And in this film, he plays a glorified security guard who is brought in to test the security in the Pearl, which in the world of this film is the new tallest building in the world. It is much, much taller than the Burj Khalifa as shown in the film, and he's basically brought in to give the final check off on the security systems before the building is opened up to the public. But of course something has to go wrong. If you see the trailers, you know what. The Rock's family get trapped inside the building, his wife and 2 children, when a group of terrorists take over the building. They want something, and now you have an action film, which isn't that great. It obviously draws and steals from lots of different films, but to a certain degree, I actually found myself enjoying this film quite a lot in a few places. It is not a good film per se, but it knows what it wants to be, and you know that's something when a film knows what it wants to be, when it knows how to be cheesy, when it knows how to be over the top, when it knows how to revel in all its implausibilities, which there are a ton of. I don't know, I was able to not think about some of these things, to not think about the physics of the action scenes, to not think about how it's virtually impossible to run from a hanging beam and jump onto a skyscraper, how it's impossible to use duct tape on your hands to move yourself across the exterior of a building thousands of feet up in the air. If you're able to not think about these things during the film, then this is a good film for you, and I was able to do that. I was able to not be a critic for the majority of this film, but there are some glaring flaws that really drag it back. I'll start with the things that I like though. The Rock is always the bright spot of his films. Again, in this film, he is the best part, even when the script really lets him down, which it does on many occasions. You can always see that he really believes in the material, and he will do whatever it takes to elevate whatever material he's given. He's really likeable in this film, even though he doesn't have much of a character, but one of the best parts of the film, I thought, was seeing him figure out how to solve the problems that he faces in the spur of the moment, how to solve really important problems quickly, and those solutions that he came up with were actually quite inventive. So I'm giving the film credit for actually coming up with quite inventive solutions to some of the problems that he faces, and for also coming up with interesting problems for him to face. For example, he has to scale the outside of the building, he has to go into a giant spinning flaming propeller room, which was actually quite a fun scene, although I have no idea how he got out of it. And there are many scenes when you have no idea how he gets out of certain situations, but I went along with it because I knew that would be a flaw of the film. Implausible action scenes, I could tell from the trailer. When in the trailer they showed that he jumps off a hanging beam all the way up in the air and grabs onto a smashed open door of the outside of the skyscraper, I was like, okay, it's going to be that kind of film. The skyscraper itself looked really cool. The special effects, I thought, the way that they built it into the actual city was really cool, especially the exterior shots, especially from the ground looking up and maybe from far away when you see it in the background. I thought that the skyscraper itself looked really cool. Also, the film doesn't really take long for the actual action to start. It takes maybe 10-15 minutes, which are really quite slow, and some character things are very obvious and very predictable, but after that initial few minutes of setup, the action really kicks in, the building is taken over, and from there it doesn't really let up. There isn't really a dull moment once the action kicks in. Again, the film really embraces all its implausibilities. You know that in real life there's no way that The Rock can do all of these things. Obviously, it's a very film-y film, and you know that the action is entirely impossible, but if you can switch off your brain, like I did, and not really pay attention to those things, I know that's not really possible for many people, then you can really find yourself enjoying this film. Of course, it obviously borrows from classic films like, you know, Die Hard. Our hero has to save his wife, in this case, and the rest of his family from a building that has been taken over by terrorists. It's literally Die Hard, like, you can't deny that. Towering Inferno, a flaming building. One scene when he's scaling the building is literally from Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, when Tom Cruise is scaling the building, more plausibly with actual things attaching him to the building, not with duct tape. So yeah, it's obviously taking lots of elements from all of those films. The villain is also very weak. I can't even remember what his name or motivation was really. That was made really unclear. I didn't really get that at all. Some side characters introduced early on, their outcomes are extremely predictable, and you can see right through them. Obviously, I won't really get into spoilers, you know, if you don't want that stuff spoiled. But yeah, some stuff was very predictable. Skyscraper is pretty forgettable. It does have some pretty exciting action scenes. The Rock really brings it, as he always does. I have to give him credit for that. So yeah, I found myself enjoying it more than I thought that I would. If you can not really pay attention to the implausibilities and everything, I think that you can have a good time with this. I'm going to give Skyscraper a B-. Don't get me wrong, this is not a good film. It is not cinematic art. Obviously, the filmmakers knew what they were doing when making this film. They wanted to make a cheesy, over-the-top action film that drew from classic films to attract audience members, and that's what they've done. So, go and see it if you want to be entertained by a silly, forgettable film. But, you know, if that's not really your thing, then don't go and see it. I'm very excited to talk to you guys about 8th Grade, the new film by Bo Burnham. I'm very excited to talk about that. Got lots of stuff to talk about. Yeah, but I will have a video about 8th Grade coming out soon. And yeah, those were my thoughts on Skyscraper. If you guys have seen it, let me know. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you want to do. And until the next time, goodbye.